Welcome back to the Revenge Chronicles, the place where real stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and shocking revenge come to life. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you don't want to miss what happens next in today's story. Now, listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is something I never imagined could happen in my own family. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who'd take revenge. I always believed in patience, forgiveness, and keeping the peace. But when the people you trusted the most, the ones you thought were your family, turn your life into a living nightmare, what would you do? Would you stay silent and let them destroy everything you've built, or would you finally fight back? Because that's exactly the choice I had to make when my in-laws tried to ruin my life, and I turned the tables in a way they never saw coming. When I first met Ryan, my husband, I thought I had hit the jackpot. He was kind, charming, and ambitious. We met in college, and from the moment he smiled at me in the library, I felt something click. He wasn't just good-looking, he was genuine, or so I thought. He'd bring me coffee during study nights, help me with assignments, and make me laugh even when I was on the verge of tears. His family, though, was a different story. From the beginning, his mother, Helen, didn't like me. She would say things like, "You seem different from the girls Ryan used to date," with that fake smile that never reached her eyes. His father, Charles, barely acknowledged me, and his sister, Emily, treated me like I was some charity case her brother had picked up. Still, I brushed it off. I told myself that once they got to know me, they'd come around. Ryan proposed to me after 3 years together. It was the happiest day of my life. But that happiness didn't last long. The moment I said yes, Helen's behavior changed drastically. She started calling Ryan more often, saying things like, "Are you sure she's ready for marriage?" Or, "You're rushing into this, honey." She even suggested we sign a prenup, even though I came from a decent family and had a stable job as a teacher. It wasn't about money, it was about control. I knew it, and she knew it. The wedding was beautiful, but I could feel Helen's eyes burning into me the entire ceremony. I remember catching her whispering something to Emily during the vows, and both of them laughed. It stung, but I held my head high. I was determined to build my own happiness, no matter how much they tried to poison it. After the wedding, we moved into a small house Ryan and I bought together. For a while, things were good. But slowly, his family started inserting themselves into our lives. Helen would show up unannounced, bringing gifts like ugly decorations that didn't fit our home, insisting we display them. Emily would accidentally share gossip about me at family dinners, twisting my words until I sounded rude or ungrateful. Charles, who never spoke much, would just shake his head and mutter things like, "Women these days." At first, I tried to keep the peace. I cooked for them, hosted dinners, even helped Emily move apartments when she didn't lift a finger to help herself. But the more I tried, the worse it got. It was like they wanted me to break. Then, things took a turn for the worse when Ryan started spending more time at his parents' house. He said he needed to help his dad with some family matters. I didn't question it at first. After all, it's normal to help your parents. But the visits became more frequent, and every time he came home, he seemed colder, distant. One night, I found him sitting in the dark, scrolling through his phone. I asked what was wrong, and he snapped at me for no reason. That was when I knew something was wrong. A few days later, I got a call from a friend who worked in the same company as Charles. She told me, hesitantly, that Charles had been spreading rumors about me, claiming I was a gold digger who married Ryan for his family's money. I was furious. I confronted Ryan about it, and instead of defending me, he said, "Well, you can be a bit materialistic sometimes." That broke me. I realized his family had been poisoning his mind against me for months. And the worst part? He was letting them. One evening, while cleaning the house, I found an envelope hidden in one of Ryan's drawers. It was full of photos, pictures of me from before we were married with my ex-boyfriend, and some that looked like they had been taken recently, of me having coffee with a male coworker. I was shocked. These photos were clearly taken from afar, like someone had been following me. Ryan walked in just as I was holding the pictures. His face turned red with anger. "So it's true," he shouted. "You're cheating on me." I was speechless. I tried to explain that the co-worker in the photo was just a friend, that someone must have followed me, but he wouldn't listen. He packed a bag that night and went to stay with his parents. I was left alone, confused, and humiliated. A few days later, I got an email from Helen. It was short, but it hit like a dagger. We always knew you weren't right for our son. You should leave before things get ugly. That's when I realized this was all planned. They wanted to ruin my marriage, push me out, and probably take everything we'd built together. I spent the next few days crying, barely eating. My whole world had collapsed. But then, something inside me shifted. I decided I wasn't going to be their victim anymore. I was going to fight back smartly. I started by doing some digging of my own. I remembered that Ryan's sister, Emily, had a tendency to overshare on social media. I checked her posts, and sure enough, I found something interesting. Around the time the photos of me were supposedly taken, she had posted a story from the same cafe where I was meeting my coworker. She even captioned it, "Catching up with someone winking face." My coworker was in the background of her photo. That was my proof Emily was behind it. I printed the screenshots and waited. Meanwhile, I contacted my friend who was an attorney and asked her about my legal options. She told me to document everything: emails, texts, photos, and she helped me file a report about the stalking and harassment. I didn't tell Ryan yet. I wanted to see how far they'd go. About a week later, Ryan showed up at the house. He said his mother told him I'd been asking around about the family and that I was trying to ruin them. I smiled calmly and handed him the printed screenshots. "You should see this before you accuse me of anything," I said. His face went pale as he looked at the timestamps. "Emily took these," I told him. "She was the one stalking me. Your own sister." He didn't know what to say. I could see the conflict in his eyes. But I wasn't done. I told him about the email Helen sent, the rumors Charles spread, everything. Then I showed him the police report I had filed with all their names mentioned. "So that's the situation I was in," I said, my voice trembling. "I could either stay quiet and let them destroy my reputation and my marriage, or I could expose them for who they really are. What would you have done in my place? Would you have walked away or fought back?" Ryan didn't answer. He left the house again, this time without a word. I didn't hear from him for days. But I didn't sit still. I sent copies of my evidence to his company's HR department and my lawyer, just in case his family tried to twist the story further. Then, one night, I got a call from Emily. She was crying. She said their parents were furious because the police had called them for questioning about harassment. Helen had screamed at her for getting caught, and Ryan had confronted them after realizing the truth. Apparently, Helen confessed that she'd hired a private investigator to keep an eye on me because she didn't trust me. Ryan came home the next morning looking broken. He apologized through tears, saying he couldn't believe his family would go that far. I wanted to forgive him, but something inside me had changed. I told him I needed space and that trust wasn't something you could rebuild overnight. In the following weeks, his family's reputation took a serious hit. The community they were part of found out about the police report. Charles's company even demoted him after internal gossip spread. Helen tried to reach out to me several times, begging me to withdraw the report, saying it was family business. I didn't budge. I told her, "You made it legal the moment you tried to destroy my life." Ryan and I eventually separated. It wasn't a messy divorce, but it was painful. I got to keep the house because it was in both our names, and my lawyer made sure I wasn't cheated out of anything. The day I signed the papers, I felt this strange mix of grief and relief. I had lost a marriage, but I had regained my self-respect. A few months later, I started therapy. My therapist helped me process the betrayal and rebuild my confidence. I even reconnected with that same coworker. Turns out, he had been worried sick about me during the chaos. Over time, we grew closer. He treated me with the kindness and respect I had forgotten existed. As for Ryan, I heard he eventually cut ties with his family. He sent me a long letter apologizing for everything, admitting that he was weak for letting them manipulate him. I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I needed closure. Looking back, I realized that sometimes revenge doesn't have to be about hurting others. It can simply be about standing your ground, refusing to be silenced, and taking your power back. I didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves by underestimating me. If you've ever been in a situation where people tried to break you, remember this. Your strength is your greatest weapon. Never let anyone make you feel small for standing up for yourself. So, tell me, if you were in my shoes, would you have done the same thing? Would you have fought back or walked away? If you were on my side through this whole story, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories like this one, and share your thoughts down in the comments. I read every single one. Thanks for listening to my story, and I'll see you all in the next one.